the Roman Republic, a name synonymous with power, with military dominance, with an empire that would shape the course of Western civilization. But this grand narrative didn't start with immediate success. It began with humble beginnings, with a small city-state that had to fight tooth and nail for its survival. Before the legions marched across 3 continents, before Rome was master of the Mediterranean, they were a small, struggling city-state in Italy, surrounded by rivals and enemies. These early days were marked by constant warfare, political intrigue, and the relentless drive to expand and secure their territory. Among these, none proved as persistent, as dangerous, or as impactful on Rome's early development as the Samnites. The Samnites were a formidable foe, their warriors known for their bravery and their strategic acumen. They were not just another enemy, they were a significant challenge that tested Rome's resolve and military capabilities. The Samnites were not a single entity, but a collection of tribes, fierce and independent, inhabiting the rugged Apennine mountains of central and southern Italy. These tribes were bound together by a common culture and a shared determination to resist Roman domination. Their homeland, with its difficult terrain, provided a natural fortress against invaders. Their story is one of constant struggle, of unwavering courage in the face of overwhelming odds and ultimately of tragic defeat. Yet their resistance was not in vain. Each battle, each skirmish, each act of defiance left an indelible mark on the Roman psyche and military doctrine. But their impact on Rome, on the very character of the Roman Republic, cannot be overstated. The Samnites forced Rome to evolve, to adapt, and to innovate. They were the crucible in which Rome's military might was forged, their indomitable spirit pushing the legions to their limits and forcing innovations in tactics and strategy that would serve Rome well in later conquests. They were the crucible in which Rome's military might was forged, their indomitable spirit pushing the legions to their limits and forcing innovations in tactics and strategy that would serve Rome well in later conquests. The Samnite Wars were not just a series of battles, they were a transformative period that shaped the future of Rome. This is the story of the Samnite Wars, a conflict spanning generations, a clash of cultures and ideologies that would lay the foundation for Roman dominance, but also sow the seeds of the Republic's own internal struggles. The wars were brutal and costly, but they were also a crucible of innovation and adaptation. It is a story of courage and brutality, of cunning and betrayal, of the rise and fall of a people who, though ultimately lost to history, left an undeniable mark on the world. The legacy of the Samnites lives on, not just in the annals of history, but in the very fabric of what Rome would become. The early history of the Samnites, like many ancient peoples, is shrouded in the mists of time, pieced together from archaeological fragments and the often biased accounts of their enemies. These fragments, though incomplete, offer us glimpses into a world long past, a world where the Samnites carved out their existence amidst the rugged landscapes of ancient Italy. What we do know is that they were not native to the Italian peninsula. Their origins trace back to a time before recorded history, a time when waves of migration swept across Europe, bringing new peoples and cultures into the Italian landscape. They were likely part of a larger Indo-European migration, arriving in Italy sometime in the late Bronze Age, around the 12th century BC. This migration was part of a broader movement of peoples that reshaped the cultural and demographic landscape of Europe. They settled in the rugged, mountainous region south of Rome, known as Samnium, a land ill-suited for large-scale agriculture but ideal for pastoralism and small, fiercely independent communities. The harsh terrain fostered a spirit of resilience and self-reliance among the Samnites, traits that would define their culture and way of life. The Samnites, therefore, were never a unified kingdom, but rather a loose confederation of tribes, each with its own customs and leaders, united by a shared language, culture, and a fierce determination to remain independent. This confederation allowed them to maintain their autonomy while also providing a sense of collective identity and strength. Details of their early society remain sketchy. However, the archaeological evidence we've unearthed paints a picture of a people who were both resourceful and skilled in various crafts. Archaeological evidence suggests a people skilled in metalworking and pottery with a strong warrior ethos. Their craftsmanship in metal and clay not only served practical purposes but also held cultural and symbolic significance. Their social structure was likely hierarchical, with a warrior elite holding power, similar to other Italic peoples of the time. This elite class would have played a crucial role in both governance and warfare, guiding their communities through times of peace and conflict. Religion played a central role in their lives, with a pantheon of gods and goddesses reflecting their pastoral lifestyle and the ever-present threat of war. These deities were deeply intertwined with their daily lives, influencing everything from agricultural practices to martial traditions. It is from this harsh, unforgiving environment that the Samnites emerged, shaped by the land and their constant struggle for survival. The rugged terrain and the challenges it posed forged a people who were both resilient and resourceful. They were a hardy, resilient people, accustomed to hardship and fiercely protective of their independence, traits that would come to define their interactions with the rising power of Rome. Their determination to maintain their way of life in the face of external pressures is a testament to their enduring spirit and cultural legacy. The Samnites were above all a warrior culture. Their mountainous homeland, while providing natural defences, also limited their resources, forcing them to rely on raiding and warfare to supplement their economy. This constant state of conflict, coupled with their decentralized political structure, shaped their military organization and tactics. Unlike the Romans, who would develop a highly disciplined professional army, the Samnite forces were composed primarily of citizen soldiers. Each tribe was responsible for providing its own warriors, led by chieftains who had earned their position through prowess in battle. This gave the Samnites a numerical advantage in the early stages of their conflict with Rome, as they could field large armies drawn from their various tribes. The Samnites were particularly skilled in mountain warfare, using their knowledge of the terrain to great advantage. They were masters of ambush, using the rugged landscape to conceal their movements and spring surprise attacks on unsuspecting enemies. Their primary weapons were the javelin and the short sword, ideally suited for close-quarters combat in the hills and forests of Samnium. Furthermore, the Samnites were renowned for their use of the testudo formation, a tightly packed formation of warriors with interlocking shields that provided mobile cover from enemy projectiles. This tactic, later adopted and perfected by the Romans themselves, is a testament to the military innovation and adaptability of the Samnites. While the Samnites were consolidating their hold over the Apennine Mountains, a new power was rising in the North Rome. This burgeoning city-state, with its strategic location and ambitious leaders, was beginning to cast its eyes beyond its immediate surroundings. Initially a small city-state amongst many, Rome's strategic location on the Tiber River and their aggressive expansionist policies brought them increasingly into conflict with their neighbours. The fertile lands and trade routes were too tempting for the Romans to ignore, and their military prowess began to grow in tandem with their ambitions. The clash between Rome and the Samnites was, in many ways, inevitable, a collision course set by geography and ambition. The rugged terrain of the Apennines provided a natural barrier, but also a point of contention, as both powers sought to control the vital passes and valleys. The First Samnite War, erupting in 343 BC, began not with a grand declaration of war, but with a seemingly minor border dispute. This small spark ignited a larger conflict, as both sides were unwilling to back down and saw the potential for greater gains. The Campanians, a people living in the fertile plains north of Samnium, appealed to Rome for aid against Samnite incursions. Their rich lands were a prime target for the Samnites, and the Campanians saw an alliance with Rome as their best hope for protection. Rome, sensing an opportunity to expand their influence south, agreed to intervene, setting in motion a conflict that would last for over half a century. This decision was not just about aiding an ally, but also about securing a foothold in a region that was crucial for their future expansion. The early stages of the war saw a series of Roman victories. The legions, with their superior discipline and organization, proved more than a match for the Samnite levies in open battle. Their training and tactics were honed to perfection, making them a formidable force on the battlefield. The legions, with their superior discipline and organization, proved more than a match for the Samnite levies in open battle. However, the Samnites were not easily subdued. They adapted quickly, using their knowledge of the terrain to their advantage. However, the Samnites, true to their nature, resorted to guerrilla warfare, ambushing Roman columns, raiding their supply lines, and making it impossible for the legions to maintain their hold over conquered territory. This hit-and-run tactic frustrated the Romans and prolonged the conflict. The First Samnite War ended in 341 BC, not with a decisive victory, but with a negotiated peace. Both sides were exhausted, and the terms of the peace allowed each to regroup and prepare for future conflicts. Rome, bogged down in other conflicts, was eager to secure their northern borders and consolidate their gains. They saw the peace as a temporary measure, a chance to strengthen their position before the next inevitable clash. The Samnites, though undefeated in a major engagement, recognized the growing power of Rome. They knew that the peace was fragile and that the Romans would soon return with renewed vigor. It was a brief respite, a pause before the next, even more brutal chapter in their struggle for survival. The stage was set for a series of wars that would ultimately determine the fate of the Italian peninsula. The peace of 341 BC was but a brief interlude in the ongoing struggle between Rome and the Samnites. Over the next several decades, the two powers would clash repeatedly in a series of brutal conflicts known as the Samnite Wars. Despite their fierce resistance and tactical ingenuity, the Samnites ultimately could not withstand the relentless might of Rome's military machine. By 290 BC, after the Third Samnite War, the Samnites were finally subdued. Rome's triumph was not just a military victory, but a cultural one as well. The Samnites were gradually assimilated into the Roman Republic, their lands incorporated into the expanding Roman territory. Yet, even in defeat, the Samnites left a lasting legacy. Their way of war, marked by resilience and adaptability, influenced Roman military tactics. The Samnite warrior ethos, their spirit of independence and resistance, became legendary. Archaeological findings have revealed much about their society. Intricate armors, richly decorated pottery, and the remnants of their hill forts, which stand as silent witnesses to their once formidable presence. Modern historians and archaeologists continue to uncover new insights into Samnite culture. The Samnites' sophisticated social structures, their religious practices, and their interactions with neighboring peoples paint a picture of a complex and vibrant civilization. Today, their legacy endures not just in the annals of history, but in the very fabric of Italy's cultural heritage. In modern times, the Samnite story is a poignant reminder of the cycles of conquest and assimilation that have shaped human history. Their struggle against Rome is a testament to the enduring human spirit, the will to fight for one's identity and way of life against seemingly insurmountable odds. The Samnites may have been defeated, but their story continues to inspire. They remind us that history is not just written by the victors, but also by those who dared to stand against them. As we unearth more about their past, we honor their memory and ensure that their tale is never forgotten. Want more epic tales? Check out the channel for more information and hundreds of other history videos. Oh, thank you for watching.